All right, today is Friday, January 16th, 2026. It is 6:36 p.m. and I'm Carol Caden, and I'm here and I'm interviewing. If you could state your name for me,
This is Juanita Kirton.
Juanita Kirton. Thank you so much for your time tonight. I'm so thrilled to talk to you about your involvement in the Sirens and just about whatever stories you'd like to share today. Um, so tell us about yourself.
Well, let's see. I can start with my age.
Hmm.
So I'm 77 years old. This summer I'll be 78. I'm born in July. I didn't
Ooh.
I didn't start writing until I was in my 40s. So it was something I always wanted to do. And I was inspired because I used to be a marshal for the gay parade in New York City when my son was young. My son is now 48. So he was like 9 and 10. And I would be marshaling for the Riverside Church, which has Maranatha Group, which is an open and gay and lesbian support group at the church. And they would have a float. So I put my son on the float and then I'll be marshaling. And I was inspired when I saw all these fabulous women leading the parade. And this is back in the 80s. And that inspired me. And I said, I want to be able to do that one day. And
Mhm.
many years later, got my license and my I've been with the Sirens ever since. And I've been riding in the parade, not every year, but I do ride in the parade with the Sirens when I can.
Mhm. And you sent me some amazing photos of you and all of your bikes, which I hope we can donate that to the archives as well, along with this interview, those photos that you sent me. So it leads into my next question, which is what do you ride and what bikes have you ridden in the past?
Well, currently I'm riding a 2013 um Goldwing 1800 cc, and it was a two-wheeler. And when I first got it, and then later on I tr had it trike, so I got a trike kit to fit on my two-wheeler because I'm a veteran, Army veteran, and I have a service-connected disability, and it prevents me now from holding up two wheels of eight. The Gold Wings weigh about 800 pounds,
Ooh.
835 pounds, and that was with nobody in it and no luggage. So I had to trike my bike that I have now. But I started out and I've been on two wheels most of my life up until a few years ago. I started out with a Pacific Coast. Um, it's a Honda. It's an 800 cc. It's my first motorcycle, and I rode that from Pennsylvania all the way to Tacoma, Washington alone, across country, and then back.
Wow.
It was awesome. I
Did you go, did you go just to see the entire country? Like what was the reason? Were you just like, I want to ride on this first
I
bike?
just, you know what? I had when at the time I was a principal of a school, and so you have the month of August off,
Right.
and it was like, man, I want to go across country. I want to see this country on a motorcycle. No one was able to go with me, so I left Pennsylvania. It was in August, so it's my first trip, first time long trip. I had mapped it out because back then in 1996, I didn't have a cell phone. I didn't have GPS. I had a paper map, and it took 80 all the way across the top to Tacoma, Washington. Took me about a few days to do that. I took pictures. I stopped different places. And like I said, it was August, so I was dressed for the summer. But when I
Mhm.
got to the Rocky Mountains, I did not know that it was snowing in Rocky Mountains. It was freezing until I got through the Rocky Pass and got down to Butte, Montana when it was 70. But going through the pass, which is only one lane going one way and one lane going the opposite way, it was freezing cold. But anyway, and then I was overheated in Utah and I got a burn on my leg because I took off my long pants. I'm so hot. Oh my gosh. Not knowing you're on a motorcycle and you're moving, that hot air is going to burn you.
Hmm.
I got a
Hmm.
burn on my leg. But I learned from that one first cross country trip what to expect, what to plan for. And if I'm going cross country again, if I'm going to the Rockies, I'm going anywhere else, to be prepared for a warm climate, to prepare for cool climate, to wear covered clothes, even if it's 110 degrees in Utah. Okay, but I always wore my helmet. I always wore my
Oh
helmet.
yeah.
So that was my first trip. That was my first bike. I've had other two-wheelers. I love my cross country Victory. I love that motorcycle. It's really fast. Took that out to Nevada. And I had another Gold Wing Aspencade, another two-wheel Gold Wing. I happen to like big, heavy bikes because it's good for touring. It's relaxing.
Mhm.
I can put a lot of luggage on there. And when I started dating, I was able to carry my partner. But I didn't, no partner wanted to go cross country. They just wanted to do day trips. So myself.
When you took that first ride, were you a part of the Sirens then, or had you not
Yes.
joined yet?
Yes, I was part of the Sirens then. But there was nobody, willing to take that time off to go cross country.
Yeah.
Yes, I wasn't willing. I was with the Sirens back in the 1990s. Yes. Long-
Hmm.
And I left it, actually, there was a long gap when I left the Sirens, but I kept my colors because I had moved out of New York. So I
Yeah.
was living in upstate New York in Westchester County. And that's when I got my first bike. But then later on in the 90s, I moved to Pennsylvania. And
Mm.
so it was hard to get to meetings. And now it's even harder, but I would still go to meetings.
Yeah.
And so I joined another motorcycle club, the Buffalo Soldiers, which is
Mhm.
connected to the historic Buffalo Soldiers, um, who helped with the Revolutionary War and World War. And my father was in the military, and so am I. But I found that the Buffalo Soldiers was not opening and affirming and accepting people who are gay. And I
Mhm.
found that very difficult. I wore my Buffalo Soldiers in the gay parade, my colors, and they were not happy with that. And so I left the Buffalo Soldiers and just
Oh,
put
wow.
my clothes back on for the Sirens here.
And that was in the 90s
No, that was this
or
recent. That was
recent?
in that was in 2020, 2020, not 2020, 2021. Yeah, that was not too long ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And and I don't know if every state has Buffalo Soldiers and they have different organizations, but it's under one umbrella. But I know the one here in the Pocono Mountains was hard for me. And
Mm.
so I still support the Buffalo Soldiers because of the history. I belong to the Buffalo Soldiers organization at West Point because that's
Hmm.
where they trained the horses, etc., for the officers. And I am
Hmm.
a veteran, and I'm a black veteran, so I do support the Buffalo Soldiers, but I don't ride with the motorcycle club.
Mm. Mm.
And I
And
haven't been to a Sirens in-person meeting for a while, but I'm still an active member.
got it. Got it. And where are you from originally?
Oh, born and raised in Brooklyn. My parents are from Barbados, but I was
Mhm.
raised in Brooklyn, and I left New York City in 1966. I went to Ohio, go to college. I went to college in Ohio, and I
Hmm.
really went back to live in the city. I've lived in New Jersey 12 years. My son was born in New Jersey, New Brunswick, and
Hmm.
I taught at Rutgers University for a while, and then I moved to Westchester County, where I was a principal of an elementary school, and then I
Hmm.
moved to Pennsylvania. So yeah,
Got it. And um the group, the Buffalo motorcycle group, was it the Buffalo Soldiers? Is that what you said?
Little soldiers, yes.
The Buffalo Soldiers, was that chapter within Pennsylvania or was this within the West Point chapter, you said?
Oh no, this is the West Point chapter is not for motorcycles. The
Got
West
it.
Point chapter is the original Buffalo soldiers who worked and supported the officers who were in the cavalry. Okay, Buffalo
Got
soldiers
it.
or cavalry. So
Okay.
the Buffalo Soldiers chapter in Pennsylvania, the Pocono Mountain Buffalo Soldiers Motorcycle Club.
Got
That
it. Okay. Okay. Cool. Thank you. Thank you. I was like, wait, let me clear this up in my head.
is, yes.
Um,
Get it mixed up. And I still have the Buffalo Soldiers license plate on my truck. And sometimes people stop me and say, "Oh, you go to Buffalo? Am I Buffalo, New York?" I said, "You don't know the history." I said, "No, look it up."
Yeah,
Buffalo.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
historic.
Yeah. Well, I'm learning new things. We're all learning new things every day. I love it. How old were you when you began writing?
I was in my 40s, I think 41, somewhere around there. I was in my 40s.
Got
Yeah.
it. Got it.
I'm an old writer because a lot of the
Yeah.
screens that I know started writing when they were teenagers. They rode dirt bikes, etc. But my parents never allowed me to do that. And so when I guess I had a midlife crisis, I don't know, but I always wanted to ride a motorcycle. And so I got my first motorcycle. I was in I think it was 41 or something like that, in my
Mhm.
40s.
Do you remember the first time you rode on a motorcycle?
Oh, please, yes. I'm a writer and poet. So I have
I
poems that are written about motorcycle riding. And the first time I got on a motorcycle, I never rode in the back of a motorcycle with anybody, never had an opportunity to just get on a motorcycle and try it out. I was in a motorcycle school in Mamaroneck,
hmm
and it was a small 250. That was the first time I sat on a motorcycle to learn how to ride, and it was awesome. I was like, oh my gosh, the power of it to be on two wheels. Of course, I could ride a bicycle, but to be on two wheels and have that power and the throttle, and then I had to learn, how to do the S curves and the stopping and the eights and everything, but it was wonderful. And then when I bought my first motorcycle before I got my license, I had it sitting in the shop, and I bought the motorcycle, and I had them deliver it to my house because I was afraid I was afraid to ride it. So it sat in my driveway for like 3 days. And my son was a teenager. I think he was 14 or something. And he came out and said, Mom, when are you going to ride this motorcycle? I said, no, I can ride it because it looks so big. It was an 800 cc. I went from a 250, and this is the 800. I wanted something big to be on the road that I can travel with. And my son is the one who encouraged me. He said, Mom, you could do it. And I got on that motorcycle in White Plains, and that was the end. Never looked back.
Uh, I
Never looked
love it. And I love that your son was like, Mom, you got this. Like
back.
you were, because I
And
mean, 250
he
to 800, woo,
yes.
that's a jump.
Yeah, and he never wanted to ride on the back because I would, say, come on, get on the back. He said no. And when he was in his 30s, he bought a motorcycle. And I said, oh, we got a motorcycle. He said, yeah, Ma, I bought one so I can bond with you. Of course, that he was just joking. And we rode together to Colorado.
Oh my God, how was that?
My friend of mine, PJ, he had a motorcycle, he had a BMW. My son had a motorcycle, he bought a motorcycle. It was me and my sister, and we rode out to Colorado to a motorcycle event together, and it was awesome to have my son. He still rides now. He has one now in he lives in Philly, and he has
Mhm.
a BMW now, and so it just happened.
I
It was
love it. I love that he got the motorcycle in his 30s and you got it in your 40s. It's like the in the family of like later on.
But you know something? If he had gotten his motorcycle in his teens, I would be scared because teenagers, you never know. And he would drive the car, when he was dating, and I was even scared for him driving a car, letting a motorcycle. So I guess he had enough sense to wait till he was 30. So, and my granddaughter rides in the back. She was in the one of the gay parades. I have a picture of her. She has a pink tutu on with multicolors on it, and she sat on the back of my motorcycle riding in the gay parade with the
Oh,
with the sirens, with the sirens.
oh, did she have fun?
Yes, and I have a picture of her. She was about 7 or 8, I think. She's 14 now, so she was 7 or 8 then.
Oh,
It was
that's sweet.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
these are really beautiful memories. It's hard to isolate, just one. Do you have some memorable moments of being on your bike? And like, I know you said you have poetry about riding on motorcycles. Are there standout moments for you um, about
You
riding on your
know,
bike?
the first time when I went cross country, one of the things that really stood out for me is this country, forget the people, the country is beautiful.
Hmm
Every state, some people tell me, well, what was your best moment? Every state has its own tone and tenor. Every state had its own scent. And when you're riding out there, you have the airs hitting your face, you have the scent that's going in your nostrils, you feel it. It's amazing. And just the scent of fresh cut grass or cow dung is just everything is hitting you. And if it rains, it's raining on you. And all of the elements are part of you. And you become part of the elements. So it was like being in the zone and just awesome.
Mm.
And so that's what I really enjoy in the freedom of being out, not in traffic, not stopping and going, but just on the back roads. You're going through hills and you're going around curves, and it's the things that you would see, the mountains, the rain, the valleys. It was just that's what I get from it. And I've had experiences where you see awesome sunsets. I have pictures. I took pictures of different things that I would see, and I have some on my wall of the beauty of this country and the beauty of my experiences on a motorcycle.
Mm. Mm. I love that, like being one with the elements and just the visceral smells of each state. Are there
Yes.
states that stand out to you with the smells, like, or different smells you remember?
Well, I know that when I went through after I got out of Pennsylvania, because I live on the east coast of Pennsylvania, so you got
Hmm.
to go 300 something miles just to get out of Pennsylvania. So
Pennsylvania's
once
huge.
I got out of Pennsylvania, and you got into Ohio and Illinois, which is kind of flat, a lot of farmland, and you could be on the road and you just had see these sweeping mounds of all different kinds of flowers or wheat or corn growing. And you just it's just an awesome sight. And then at one point, I would think I was in Utah, maybe it was Wyoming. No, I think it was in Utah, where all of a sudden I came up into like a wind farm and all these hundreds of windmills just flying around and you can see it for miles and nothing but windmills. It was like, wow, look at that, you know? And one another trip I took, I went to when I went to Colorado, I rode on the highest paved road in the country. It's called
Whoa.
Mount Evans over 14,000 feet. And you can't go there with a motorcycle that's under 750 cc's because of the air not getting into the engine, you'll stall out. And so when I got to the top, even before I got to the top, the switchbacks are like this. So two motorcycles can't even pass each other
Oh my God.
with mountain goats crossing the road. And once I got up there, I had to I was one of my two wheelers. I had to put my two wheeler on the side stand and just try to get my breath because 14,000 feet, the air gets a little bit less and had less oxygen. So it took me a while to acclimate to the atmosphere of where I was. But I rode that. That was awesome. To
Oh.
be up there with the clouds and the mountains. I mean, there's some places that I've seen and things that I've done. I can't even tell you one specific place because every
Hmm.
state has its own joy, its own tone, its own scent. When I got to Tacoma, Washington, I got an Airbnb right on the Tacoma, Washington, right by the water, by the sound,
Hmm.
and I could see Seattle, Washington across the way. I used to take a ferry across. And just sitting there, seeing the water and just the beautiful Pacific, that was just beautiful. Took Route 5 and rode down the coast down to Oregon, through Texas. Oh, Texas is huge. I mean,
Huge.
oh,
Huge. I
75
yeah.
miles an hour through a town. I mean,
Mhm.
it's like, yeah, so every state is it's different. New Orleans and Mississippi was hot. It was August. I was sweating. It was just it's just that sticky, humid air.
Yep. I'm from Georgia, so I know.
Yeah, I've been up to the Georgia mountains too. Athens
Yeah.
mountains, yeah.
Yeah, North
Beautiful.
Georgia mountains are stunning. Yeah.
Yes, beautiful, beautiful.
Oh, that's incredible to get to experience so much of the country on a motorcycle. And like we live in such a beautiful country where each state is so diverse. Like
Yes.
geographically, it's wild that you have the North Georgia mountains and then you also have the Rockies like in the same country. It's
Yes, and I've also took a group of motorcycles. One of them is a previous member of the Sirens, and we went to Manitoulin Island, which is the largest freshwater island in the world. It's up by
wow.
Perry Sound, up
Okay.
past up past Nova Scotia, all the way up. It's like it's pretty far away. So I
Wow.
took let's see, we how many bikes did we have? I think we had one, two, three, four, five motorcycles. Went and I led the group and we went up there. We spent about 2 weeks on the road. Uh,
Hmm.
we all met in Niagara Falls, and then
Nice.
and from Niagara Falls we traveled north.
Wow. Wow.
That was beautiful. I also did Cabot Trail with a friend of mine on my motorcycle in Nova Scotia, the whole of Nova Scotia, all the way around. Cabot,
Wow.
that was awesome too. Yeah.
So when you're on these trips, do you typically like stay in an Airbnb, hotel? Do you sometimes camp on the road? Like, what do you
Oh,
like
no,
to
no, no,
do?
no. First of all, as as a veteran, I ate enough dirt in the army. I do not camp. Okay,
Hmm.
unless I have an RV, and since I sold my RV and I can't take my RV on a motorcycle, I go to an Airbnb. I can stay in a hotel.
Hmm.
At one time, actually, when we were in Nova Scotia and Halifax, we were able to get rooms at the University of Halifax because the school was closed, and they rented
Oh,
out the rooms really cheap. So we stayed at the
nice.
university for 2 days.
Oh,
Um,
that's smart.
yeah, yeah. I just happened that came up, but I don't camp when I'm riding my motorcycle, especially if you spend 8 hours on two wheels. You need a hot shower, a nice bed, and a good meal. I don't want to be trying to pitch a tent in the rain or nothing like that. No way.
So you told me a little bit about your first impression of the Sirens at the Pride Parade. Um, what made you decide to join the Sirens, and how did the process go for you?
Well, like I said, I was marshaling at the parade and I saw the motorcycle. So when I got my motorcycle, the first thing I wanted to do was join a motorcycle group, especially for women. And it's not just women who are gay, it's all women. So I was really open to that. And I found the group very supportive in not only in how to ride, but I was always a safe rider, but making sure that everyone who is part of the Sirens ride safely. You have to wear a helmet.
Hmm.
There's no alcohol for riding, no drugs or anything when you're riding with the group. And I found it very refreshing and that everybody was very supportive. And that's why I joined and why I still, maintain my membership. Um, they've had a lot of change over in terms of leadership because people get older, not everybody stays, some people move away. Like I moved away pretty far, but I still keep my membership um as part of the club because I want to support them. And sometimes things come up and I might want to ride. I might go to New York City to ride in a parade, once a year or something like that. But
Hmm.
that's why I joined because I just felt it was so supportive for women motorcycles.
Hmm. Who were the people when you first joined that really drew you in? Were there some members that you felt really connected to initially?
Well, Linda Reed is an old time member of the club, and she lived out here in the Poconos. And
Oh.
so before she moved to Maryland, well, she didn't move to Maryland, but she moved to the near to the Maryland border. But so I used to ride with her, and so we rode together. And actually, some of those trips I was telling you about, the one that went to Nantucket Island, she rode with me.
Hmm.
And we did a couple other rides together out to Lake Erie a few times. Um, so Linda was very influential in terms of me staying in with connected to them, and our road goddess Sandra, of course, she's still there. So she was
Hmm.
also very influential for me staying. And most recently, when I came back to join recently, back in I think it was 2020 or 2021 or 22, was Jen. And I went to her wedding and her partner. So those were some of the most influential people. And of course, the original founders. It was when I was there, the original founders also very, very influential for me joining and staying.
Hmm. Hmm. I love that. Um, what has being a part of the Sirens taught you?
Um, Wow. I think the most important thing I've learned from the Sirens and what I've seen from other clubs is the respect that we have for each other on the road. And that if there's something happens, we never leave anybody behind. We support one another if we're out on the road riding. And also the way we give back to the community. And I'm not living, like I said, I don't live in New York City, although I do go to church in New York City, and I used to be used to live in New York City. I still support some of the organizations that they do annual drives for. I still support that, and I think that that's important.
Mhm. Which philanthropy programs did you participate in?
Well, I didn't participate in personally. I gave money, especially
Mhm.
to the press, the develop
Mhm.
delivering of the breast milk.
Oh yeah.
Different hospitals that's really cool. And so I
Mhm.
participated and gave money to that. And then of course there were some the International Women's Organization, Women's Motorcycle. The Sirens participates in that, and we also either go to some of their conferences. They used to have the annual conferences that I've gone to, also participated in that.
Mhm. Mhm. And you mentioned the people that you have been in relationship with through the Sirens. Um, do you mind speaking a little bit more about Linda, y'all's friendship
Yeah.
throughout the Sirens and why Linda's such a big part of your life?
Linda is an excellent motorcycle rider. I mean,
Yes.
I admired her. She was so cool. I mean, and so was Sandra. I mean, we would go to Americade and they would ride on every demo motorcycle that they had. And it was like, oh, that's awesome. I want to be like that. So I have to hang out with the people I want to be like. We'll have some of it rub off on me. So yeah. So I mean, but Linda's not writing anymore. Actually, she texted me a few months ago. I think she finally sold her motorcycle. She had it for a long time. So now she's riding. I think she has two or three electric bicycles. So now she's doing electric bicycles. She's taking long trips on electric bicycles. But she's no longer riding her motorcycle. But I know Sandra is. Sandra's very active in New York. But yeah, and then I mean that's why, because you have this thing in common beside being women, you know, um, you have this other thing that's unusual. How many women ride motorcycles that you know? I mean, now there are more, but when I first started riding, excuse me, and even before then, I'm sure these other women, when they first started riding, I couldn't find women's clothes. I had to buy the big heavy men's leather jackets, and they didn't have clothes to fit women. And so
Mhm.
now they do, but back then, forget it. They didn't have that. And so we have this connection. And every time I see a women riding motorcycles, it doesn't even matter if they're sirens or not, because we do have sister groups. Um, and you just have this connection. I went out to when was it? 3 years ago. I went to Oklahoma, to Tulsa, Oklahoma, to the Black Wall Street motorcycle rally, where
Mhm.
Black Wall Street was what that was burnt down in 1920s. Okay, so they had a rally to support the businesses that are still there, and
Mhm.
there were over, I would say, 800 different motorcycle groups, mostly of color, and they had
Wow.
women who had their motorcycles blinged out. I'm like, wow. They had all different kinds of bling hats and helmets, and this is matching, and the boots and it was so cool. And just to see that, and these women are young women, not my age, just to see that they want to participate, that they wanted to ride, that they wanted to take that extra risk. It's a little extra risk to get out there and ride as a woman and come to Oklahoma. It was
Mhm.
awesome. So that was
Oh
very nice,
wow.
awesome to see.
That's
And one other thing. So the Sirens, beside the philanthropy, we do, for instance, this book right here.
hmm.
This Did you know about this book that is features the Sirens in here?
Oh yeah, yeah. But open it up.
My name is in here in the first part.
Oh
I don't know if it's upside down. I don't know if you can see it, but
no,
yeah.
I can see it. I'm gonna make it bigger for myself because I have my
Yeah,
little dog
oh,
help me.
you can see it lifted up.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah. So this is a
Oh.
book that was written, and it talks about belonging. And one of the things about belonging, it talks about the motorcycles and how belonging is so important. And what does that mean to belong? You know? So
Yeah.
this is a kid's book. It,
Yeah, the illustrations are so beautiful.
yeah, yeah.
I mean,
So
even just seeing a woman on a motorcycle, like you said, it's so empowering. And what was that like being a part of that book being made?
oh, someone called, and said, I mean, I'm a poet and writer. I'm like, oh, you're writing a children's book. Yeah, they want to write about the sirens. Says, that's great. And they wanted to interview me. I said, fine. And so the same thing I went through with you. You get permission, you sign the releases. Somebody gave them my name, and here I am. And I let my granddaughter at the time, she read the book, but she's older now. But when this came out, she was a little bit younger. But it's so good to be able to know that women have choices
Hmm.
and to be an example for younger women. You have choices now, you know.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, can you speak more about that and how you experienced that throughout your life? Like from being young and growing up, do you feel like you have more freedom as a woman now? Are there choices you weren't able to make back then that you feel you are now?
Well, um, I'm one of four kids. I'm the oldest. So there's two boys and two girls.
Hmm.
And even though I'm 77, back when my parents were raising us in the late 40s, early 50s, my father made sure that everything that the girls could do, the boys have to do, and vice versa. So if my father went out to change the tire or to change the oil, he made sure that both the boys and the girls knew how to do that. Because he said to us, if you are in your car driving and you get stuck and you can't change your tire, this is back in the 50s, now 60s, you have to be able to learn how to change your tire or to check the oil. So he made sure there was equal opportunity for all of us. So I grew up with that mentality that whatever males and females, even though we have different bodies, I should be able to at least perform in certain activities and be able to do that. There was limits, of course, back in the 1950s when I was growing up, but my parents never put limits on the girls. Never put
Mm.
limits on us. Um, I would say that I I had challenges as a female, black, gay female. There were challenges always. First because of my skin color, and then second because I'm female. Um, But at each instance, I didn't let that hold me back. I either found a way around it or a way through it. For instance,
Hmm.
when I was in the class, when I was learning how to ride a motorcycle, there were no females in that class. They were all men. And I got a lot of heckles and jokes, but I passed my test, so I don't really care.
Yeah.
I got my license, okay? The same thing with the Army. Um,
Mm.
when I went into the military, I became a platoon sergeant. I was the only female, and was I had 42 men that I
Wow.
was in charge of, and I was a black female.
And
So
how old were you? How old were you when you
I,
joined the
I
army?
I joined the military. I was 34 years old, 1983,
Got it.
at the cutoff stage,
Mm.
and so I had to perform at a higher level so that I can make sure that I had their respect.
Mm.
Okay, so I had challenges, but I never let it hold me back. And like I said, I found my way around it, or I had to perform at a higher level. I have three master's degree and a PhD,
Wow.
and I had to make sure that when I'm when I was working full time for the State Department, when I first got that position, as a this is a compliance monitor for the state of Pennsylvania. They didn't have black female federal state monitors in the Board of Education for the State
Mm.
Department. You're covering the whole state of Pennsylvania.
Mm.
So you have to demand that respect. So I would go into the superintendents because I only dealt with superintendents and principals. And I'm coming from the state. I'm coming to monitor your school, coming to look at your files, coming to look at how you spend your money. And some men, they refuse to shake my hand. They refuse to look at me. And I said, it's
Mm.
okay, but I control the money that you're going to get for your school district if you're going to pass or fail this particular monitoring. So you have to follow the law. And after a while, I did gain their respect because that's just the way it is. Okay, that's just the way it is. I had the degree. Okay, I had the power.
Hmm.
But it takes a lot out of you because then I'm always um not on edge, but I'm always alert. I'm always alert. Always alert.
Hmm.
I remember one time, my sister and my friend of mine and I were coming back from Colorado, on our motorcycles, and we were in Platte. What was that? Is that Nevada? No, not Platte. Where was we were? I forgot what state. Wyoming. What state we were we in? Oh my goodness, somewhere out west. I forgot. Well,
Oh,
anyway, my sister's motorcycle broke down on the highway because she didn't check her oil, even though I told her to check her oil before we left Colorado. So we were on the side of the road with some cows and some corn, and we no cell phone service. Didn't see how far the next town was. So I was going to go ride to the next exit and get some oil and get somebody to get my sister off the road. So my friend stayed with her. Before I was able to get on my motorcycle and go, we saw this chopper. Guy coming down the road, got a big beard, his mustache, he was flying, didn't have no helmet on, and it's like white boy. I said, "Oh, we're in trouble now." He pulled over. He was from the Jesus something group, Jesus Save Me group. He was so nice. He called his friends. We got a tow truck, got my sister back into the hotel, took the motorcycle to the shop. It was a Sunday afternoon. He was a biker, and he saw that we were bikers, and it didn't matter about our color. And that worked
good.
out. So
That's good. Because yeah, it's like you never know. Sometimes you're, on edge and you're like, wait, what is this? Or
you have to
sometimes you
you
have
have
to
to be
protect
careful.
yourself.
You have to
Hmm.
be careful. You never know what's going to happen. And actually, and that was kind of wild. I'm riding through Mississippi and Alabama on my motorcycle by myself, and here's a black woman and said, "Oh, a truck is following me. Don't go on the back roads at night. Stay on the main highway and go to a rest stop or go to a hotel or something." But sometimes you feel that, and you have to follow your instinct.
Hmm.
So I did. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. So tell me more about, you said, having to earn that respect and being in a position of power, or maybe even just interacting with your peers and feeling that disrespect, or um, that you're not playing on an even playing field. What would you do, or what would you maybe say to yourself, or like techniques that got you through those moments? What were those?
Well, if I'm on my motorcycle, I mean, I was on my motorcycle. So a couple of things have happened. First of all, I remember in Wyoming, I was pulling into a gas station and there was nobody else there. It was this old-fashioned pump with the handle. I'm like, what, where am I? I'm in the back roads. And so I'm pumping the gas and these white boys come out and they start looking. I have my helmet on and they're circling the bike and I'm scared. And they are only curious about the motorcycle and not necessarily me. They see Pennsylvania plates. They take off my helmet. I said that I'm a woman. Now to see that I'm a woman, not a guy, because you have everything on. You don't know if you're a male or female. And we talk motorcycle stuff. So I had my shield up like this,
Mm-hmm.
but then I was able to release it. There are other times when I have to just not go there, not be there. Um, and it's dangerous. So you just don't do it. I went the first time I went to Sturgis. The first time I went to Sturgis was on my first motorcycle. It was scary where you see women with no clothes on riding a motorcycle down the main road, Main Street, or with, there were the things that were going on there that was just too wild and too dangerous. And so I had to leave the area. So the
Mm-hmm.
other times I went to an Apache reservation when I overheated,
Mm-hmm.
and the Apache reservation, and they took care of me. They gave me long pants. They gave me something soft to fix my burn on my foot, on my leg. So they took care of me. So you have to be choosy and you have to be careful and be aware of your circumstances. When is it going to be safe and when is it not? Although today, I think today I'm have more fear, maybe because I'm older. I have more fear today than I had then. Maybe because I was younger and crazy, or because the world is different. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a concealed carry now, and I'm making sure that if I'm traveling even in my truck by myself alone for 2 or 3 days, that
Mm-hmm.
I'm very aware because it's I think it's crazier now. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What makes you feel like it is crazier now? Is it the
More dangerous.
politicals or yeah, yeah,
It's more dangerous with the
yeah.
ICE out there,
Mm-hmm.
stopping you for no reason. Um, People who are don't want people of color in their area. When I first moved to Pennsylvania, they were still burning crosses up until 1996
Yeah.
on property that belonged to a black man. The first black owned and operated resort, Hillside Inn, which my
Mm-hmm.
family knew. Okay, my family knew them. They were still burning crosses on his property, and I was living here then. So yes, that tension is still there. Um, but then I find a lot of beauty, like I told you. I find a lot of
Mm-hmm.
beauty and a lot of understanding and a lot of um compassion is
Mm-hmm.
still in the world. So I got to keep that hope. Otherwise,
Right.
otherwise I'm not going to want to be around.
Yeah. Yeah. Touching on that of the compassion and hope and excitement, I know you were talking earlier about the Black Wall Street rally and
Yeah.
seeing all of these amazing women, many black women, decked out on their motorcycles.
Yes.
Um, are there other spaces where you've been around other black women on motorcycles, and how has that been for you?
Um, there's a Black women's motorcycle group that participates in protests, movements, and we did something in Washington, D.C. around the George Floyd issue.
Hmm.
We
Hmm.
also did something in we rode down to Washington, D.C., and we did something in Baltimore.
Nice.
And I participated in that. I have a couple of pictures. And that's a Black Girls Ride. It's called Black Girls Ride. And
Yeah.
I participated with them a few times in protests, engagement in the community. And
Hmm.
that's very uplifting because we're using our motorcycles as a show of force and a show of support for the community. And so I enjoyed that. So I did participate in that. And I'm not sure. I think there were a couple other, there might have been a couple of other sirens involved in it, but I can't remember. But I've
Hmm.
participated in, yes, Black Girls Ride.
Hmm. Oh, that's amazing. And what was it like being in the Sirens as a woman of color? How has that been throughout the years being a Sirens member?
No problem.
Hmm.
I haven't had an issue with it. I've always been welcome. I never thought of my color being an obstacle or an issue or anything like that. I've never experienced that kind of issue with the sirens ever. You know,
Hmm.
we have we have disagreements about other stuff, but I've never my color was an issue or
Hmm.
anybody else. I never thought that there was an issue. That never came up ever.
Hmm. Hmm. And I want to touch a little bit more about identity. You mentioned that you're gay, and I wondered when you came out and how old were you? What was the reception like?
So it's a process. I never really came out like, oh,
Yeah,
one day you're in the closet, next day you're out. Doesn't work that way.
right. I
So,
know.
okay. So I was raised, very typical middle class black. I went to a very structured, historically black college, Wilberforce University. Um, and back in the 60s, in 1966, we were still had to wear gloves and we could not wear pants slacks until it was the weekend, and I had to go to Vespers every Sunday. So it was
Mm,
very conservative. Um, and I was in the closet the whole time. I dated my son's father for 7 years while I was seeing a woman on the side, and she was married to a man. To
mm,
be a black woman in the 60s and 70s, to be a professional, because I was in the field of education, started out as a teacher, became a assistant principal, principal, district administrator. I could have lost my job because there was no way, the laws weren't supporting us or
right.
protecting me. I had a son that I was raising as a single parent. And so I stayed in the closet until I think it was in the 80s. Now,
Hmm.
I did tell my parents, but my mother was not supportive. My father was more supportive, but my parents didn't live in this country. They were living, I was born in the States. They lived here in the States. Then they moved to the Bahamas for like 17 years, and then they
Hmm.
moved to Florida. So they were far away. I was attending Riverside Church, which is an open and affirming church, but I still wore dresses and heels and stockings to church because I felt that God wasn't going to love me because I was a gay woman. So it
Yeah.
took me a long time to fully come out and to fully accept who I was. So I would say the late 80s before I, came out. And I would say that the Sirens was a way of my support because there were women who were gay in the Sirens who were out. And I said, oh, well, they could do that. Why can't I? And of course, when I was riding in the gay parade, I had no choice because we're in the front. We're leading the parade in the front, and all the cameras are shooting at you. But I was also in the military at the time. And
Right.
it was don't ask, don't tell.
Yeah, I was gonna
Right.
ask.
Yes, you could not come out. I could not be out in the military then. I could not. I was in the military for 14 years. Part active duty and then reserve.
Mm-hmm.
And I was not out in the military at all. Now you can, but back then I didn't have a choice. So.
Hmm. Hmm. Did you find that you were compartmentalizing different parts of your life because of
Oh,
this?
Oh, yeah, I was like a drag queen. So during the week, I wore my dresses and my hair was long with the curls and the flip, and I had makeup on and everything else. And on the weekend, put on my jeans, had my keys hanging off the side, had my boots on, and I'm going to the club hanging out. Yes, I was switching back and forth, switch, switch, switch. And I'm like, wow, it's like I was living two different lives. It's like living two different lives. And it's interesting, my son grew up in this whole gay environment. He is so open and so loving. I have a granddaughter now, and he is just accepting of everyone. And when he was in junior high school, he brought some of his friends over. Some of his guys are playing games and stuff. And I said to him, I said, Terrell, do they know that your mother's gay? He said, Mom, I'm not going to have anybody in the house who's not going to accept you. And it was like so nonchalant for him. It was so easy for him to have this mother who was struggling with her gayness, and the son is like, it's no big deal for him. So
Mm,
I'm really proud of him. He's done a good job. I'm very proud of him. So
that's so sweet. That's so sweet. And did that help you accept yourself more, like hearing what he had to say?
actually yes, because I wanted to sit down and talk to his friends. I'm gay, and he said it's not necessary.
Mm,
So it doesn't matter, um, you know, the company that my son was involved with and that I was involved with, he was always okay with it. He was never had an issue. He was just himself. It wasn't even about having to talk to him. He was just himself.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I'd love to talk more about when um, you were in college and just that time of your life. You know, like you said, you were dressing conservatively. You met his father, but you were also seeing a woman on the side. Can we talk more about that?
It's funny you said that because my first partner, the first person I ever got involved with, my first gay experience, today is her birthday. She turned 80 today.
Oh my goodness. Whoa. Yeah, I
Today,
want to hear more
today,
about that. And it's her birthday.
today is her birthday. Sent her a birthday present. She lives in King of Prussia. She's with
Oh,
her
wow.
partner. But
Mhm.
yeah,
I love that you're still in touch. I love that.
all these years, can you imagine?
Oh,
So, um,
wow.
well, like I said, I went to Wilberforce University, very conservative college at the time, university at the time in Ohio, away from my parents. And of course, I wore a pillbox. I had my dress and my gloves. And I met, her name is Joan. I met her, I think she was a junior because she's a couple of years older than me, um,
Mhm.
on the campus. She was Miss Wilberforce. And I
Oh.
didn't know, and she was from New York, but I
Mhm.
didn't know she was gay, and I didn't have a gaydar or anything like that. And I wasn't out. I just happened to like women, but I never had an experience. I never had a relationship. And
Mhm.
so on our break, I think it was summer break or winter break, I can't remember what break, we hooked up in New York because she lived in New York. And she took me to a couple of parties, and it was like gay parties and gay women. I'm like, oh, and that's how we got involved. But when we went back to campus, she was in a sorority. You you had to walk this thin line. You could not let anybody know that you were, involved with another woman. This is 1960s, 1966, 67. That it didn't happen. And she graduated and went to graduate school in Boston, went to BU. And I went to live in England. I got a exchange student. I was living in England, working in England. And I really felt very strongly that now I know that I'm gay. How am I going to maneuver and work through this whole process? So after graduating, um, I was slowly began to go to gay clubs, experiment. I went down when I came home from the holidays. I would go to the village and hang out at some of the gay clubs that were down there, and that's how I slowly got um, into the what do you call the life, and of course then getting a motorcycle and seeing the sirens and the gay parade and participating in my church who was in the gay parade, but I was on the float with the church. That's how I began to see the sirens and got involved with that. So there was a whole process. But like I said, as a and I was very active. I was politically active. Kent State shootings, Kent State, Wilberforce, Central State, Ohio State, Antioch. We were all on campus. We trained
Mhm.
to fall down and let the police, carry you, a whole body carry you. Two bodies have to carry you. I participated in with the Black Panthers out in California and helping to feed them. Um,
Mm.
so, and some of the riots and the protests. So, and then of course you had that was in the 60s, and then you had the
Right.
AIDS thing and you had the women's thing, and you had all that stuff I lived through. The civil rights, I lived through all of that and
Mhm.
participated. So yeah.
Mhm. Mhm. When you met Joan and Joan took you into the city like that first summer, like you said, when y'all hooked up,
Right.
what parties did y'all go to? Where did you, um,
Well,
did
I don't know which parties. I just know that they were in Harlem.
yeah,
There
yeah.
were clubs in Harlem that we would go to. Um, you would have these men at the door, usually white guys, belong to the mafia, I'm pretty sure, and they would let you in or not let you in. We did go to some house parties, that was different.
Hmm.
And then I would see all these women, but a lot of times you would have very, very strong looking, what they call dyke looking women, and then the femme women. And I was like in between. I wasn't too dyke and I wasn't too femme. I was like, okay, wait a minute. So I really identified more as a what they call a dyke woman, more assertive. And but I wasn't dressing, I wasn't wearing men's clothes and men's shoes and the men's hat. They were like really out there. And so you had to be really careful not to step over the right, make sure you're in the right line, in the right lane at that time. Now it's more
Mhm.
fluid, it's more flexible, and it's interesting. In 1970, let me see, 1279, 1976, I think it was 76 anyway, when I got pregnant with Terrell's father, because I was still seeing him, Joan was already married to a doctor, and she had a son. And our sons are 9 months apart, and they grew up together. and
Wow.
and her husband never knew they're married 8 years. He never knew that she was seeing me as a gay woman on the side, and neither did Terrell's father. He went to Princeton University, and so we would have double dates. We would go with the guys to the Princeton University club, and they had a swimming pool. We would meet at a swimming pool with her with her husband and me with Terrell's father, have a little picnic and hanging out, swimming, and then we would look at each other, say, okay, and we would go to the bathroom, make out in the bathroom, then come back, come back and be with our men. It was just, it was crazy. Oh my God. When I think about it now, I'm like, how did we ever get through it? It was wild. It was some wild days. I'm telling you. And she finally got divorced from him and we got together for a little while. But we were together, it's like off and on for like 20, 18, 19 years. And in between that, I was going to school, I was traveling, I was doing different things. And then we finally separated, but we always remained friends because her brother, who's also gay, Joan's brother, he is my son's godfather. And
Mm-hmm.
he lives in Philly. He has a partnership and we're best friends. And he has a motorcycle. And we rode together to Manitoulin Island and out to Colorado. So
Oh my God.
that's how it works. Yep. He doesn't ride anymore. He sold his motorcycle. That's my riding buddy, PJ, and he knows Linda also. And he used to come to the gay parade, and the men are behind us, so he would ride with the men in the gay parade.
Oh my goodness.
It was some good times, but it was good times, but I was switching back and forth all the time, and a lot of women like us were in the closet. I mean, Joan was a professor at a university in New York. She just couldn't come out. She came out. I mean, now she is. I'm fine. She's been in a relationship for a long time. And we just went on a cruise um in October. There were seven couples, three male couples, three female couples, and one straight couple, and we're all friends. And we went to Turkey and
Oh, cool.
we were away for 11-day cruise, and then we stopped and spent some time and it ended up in Venice, and I mean, in Venice, and we were all together, and it was so cool. And we're friends. I have friends, and that I've known for 30, 40 years.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's beautiful to get to travel together with people you
Yeah.
share great history with. Yeah. Oh,
Yes. Amazing, amazing history that I lived through, and I'm here to talk about it. Oh my gosh.
yeah. Yeah. I'm still stuck on that story of, you going on double dates together with the kids and going to the bathroom, flipping the switch, like coming back, like, all right, it's yeah, yeah. Wow. Wow. I And when you were on campus, do you remember when you first met her? Was it like just kind of you were in classes together, or did you
No, no,
you
no,
heard
no.
of her because she was like,
No, she was an upperclassman. I was a freshman. I
oh,
think
so
she
you
was
just saw her
junior.
around, or
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Something I was trying to, I was, she was a member of Delta Sigma Theta, and I was going to be pledging, and I
okay.
met her, I was going to be pledging. I didn't pledge, but I was going to be pledging, and I met her, and I just thought that she was just so beautiful. She was just so lively. She was Miss Wilberforce, and I'm like, oh my God. And I just had this attraction, and I've never had that kind of attraction before to another woman. And so I was just drawn to her. and I would try to talk to her and ask her questions. And I found out she lived in New York. I said, "Oh, when we take a break, when you get home, we could hook up." And that's how it happened. And she was not even interested in me. She was like, what are this is a freshman. What are you doing? She was not even interested in me. But I pursued her, but it was great. It was great. I remember that feeling, and I had goosebumps, and but I just kind of like, oh my gosh, what is this feeling? What's going on? Like I said, she was my first partner, first love,
Mm,
first love.
mm. Oh my goodness. And when you got back, you mentioned, having to be back in school and lace it all back up, um, act normal. Was that
Yeah.
hard for you?
Yes, and I don't know if I was acting normal or just acting the way I was brought up, the way you thought a girl was supposed to be. Now, my parents sent me to charm school, dance school, makeup school, participated in a cotillion. I mean, I did all that stuff, so I know how to walk. I know how to put on makeup. I know how to wear my high heels and my stilettos and all. I did all that stuff. I don't own a dress now, but uh, but 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 that was what was expected of me as a black woman growing up in Brooklyn with my two parents who were from Barbados, West Indian parents. There was no such thing as being a lesbian. But let me just say one thing. It was a secret because my mother had two brothers and a sister. And my mother's aunt, because I only had one aunt, my father had all brothers. My one aunt, I found out when I was in college, she was gay. She was married. She had three children, two children,
Hmm.
stayed married, and was dating a woman. And I didn't know until I got to college and I told my aunt, because I confided in her that, I had these feelings for this woman. I wanted her to meet Joan. And that's when my aunt told me, well, you can have her. I have. And I'm like, you're kidding me. So it was a big secret. My aunt was gay.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. And did that make you feel more comfortable, like right after you came out to her?
Definitely. I felt like I had some kind of support, that I
Hmm.
have someone to talk to, and that I can introduce Joan to, even though Joan met my mother, was like, this is a friend. This is not like a person I'm in love with, excuse me. Um,
Right.
my aunt accepted her, and we were able
Mhm.
to have a conversation and talk about things that I couldn't discuss with my mother at all. And even though when I came out to my mother, I still couldn't talk to her because she rejected that part of my life. She did not accept that at all. So
Mhm. Mhm. Um, why did your mom not accept that part of you? Was it her
religion,
beliefs, religion?
strictly out of the Bible. This is wrong. This is what the Bible says. But I think if my mom lived to be alive today, that she would have changed because I got married at Riverside Church. I walked down the aisle. My son escorted me. My partner's daughter escorted her. We had a big wedding. Um, I think, and my mom would love my partner now, Carol. So I think that my mom would be more loving and accepting now. But at the time when she was growing up and what she was taught, that's what she taught her kids, and that's the box that she stayed in. So
Hmm. Hmm. What denomination?
she was Episcopalian.
Got it. Okay.
Episcopalian. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. And was your dad also religious?
Yes, but he was more, I don't know, he's just more accepting of me. He said it was okay. He said, he was not afraid. I think my mom was afraid. And I'm not sure what she was afraid of because we never could really discuss it. I mean, towards the end of her life when she got older, we began to have a conversation about things that were going on in the family and what she felt. And, she would hide my aunt's behavior. She thought my aunt's behavior was negative and it was not a good way for me to experience life. So she didn't let
Mm.
me visit my aunt a lot when I was growing up. I never knew why. But then when I got older, I realized my aunt's life was totally different than my mother's. My mother was conservative. My aunt drank and smoked and partied. My mother did not. She's doing any of those things. So they just had different lives and
Hmm.
grew up differently. There was four kids, two boys and two girls. And the two youngest girls, my mother's the youngest. The youngest
Mm,
girl was sent to the Barbados to be raised by aunts, and my aunt and the older brother were raised in Harlem by her father. So they had
different
um,
lives.
different experiences,
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
expectations, different expectations. So
Was your aunt the first person in your family you came out to?
yes.
Hmm. Hmm.
And later on, it came up to my brothers and sisters, but they never had a problem with it. My
Hmm.
brother never had a problem with it ever.
Yeah.
No.
What were their initial reactions?
They didn't have a reaction. They just kind of like, okay, this is Juanita. She rides motorcycles and now she loves women. She went to Ohio and then she went off to England to live. And, she worked in South Africa. I mean, I've been all over the place. This is Juanita. This is what she does. But yeah, my
Mhm.
brothers and sisters they're fine with it.
Mhm.
They're fine. My son is fine. My granddaughter's fine. Never had no issues. No issues.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So you mentioned your current your wife, correct? Your partner, Carol. Is that her
Mhm.
name?
Yes, Carol. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, what other relationships were you in? I mean, I know you said you started out with Joan.
Uh,
Um,
too many. I need to mention a lot. A lot. A lot. I've had a lot of and I haven't hidden it from either Joan or from Carol, but I've had a lot of different women in my life. And one, two, I would say four of the women that I knew back 30, 40, 50 years ago are still friends of mine now.
mm,
They're in their own relationships, but we're still friends. So
yeah.
one couple, we went on the cruise together in October, this October. She's been in my life for a long time too. So yes, I've had a lot of different women in different parts of the world. And I've had a lot of male relationships also. A lot
Hmm.
of relationships, but I only got pregnant once, and that was from my son's father, and I was with him for 7 years.
Got
So
it.
yeah. And I
Yeah.
always wanted two boys. For some reason, even when I was younger growing up, I always wanted a son. And even though I was gay, of course, it's much easier now for women to choose to have a son. But back then, it wasn't. But I always wanted children. I always thought I
Mm.
always wanted children. So I'm very happy for my kid that I had a kid.
Oh, yeah, that's amazing. So you have one son. Do you have any other children?
No, there's one son and a granddaughter. And
Love.
my partner Carol, she
Mhm.
has two children.
Oh,
They're
wow.
both grown. A girl
Okay.
and a boy. They're both grown. Yeah.
So tell me about when you met Carol.
I met Carol at Riverside Church
Hmm.
at the Maranatha meeting. Maranatha is the gay and lesbian group at Riverside Church in New York City. I've been singing and part of Riverside Church since well, I joined in 1987. I joined the choir, but I've been attending off and on for different um, special uh, special occasions. So they have like music for candlelight service at Christmas. My father loved organ recitals. So he would take me to Riverside Church. And in 1967, he got two tickets to hear Martin Luther King. And I was in Ohio, so I went back to New York. And so I was there when King spoke on the Vietnam War. Um, so we met at Riverside Church at Maranatha meeting. So there was a meeting to plan for the year's activities, and that's where I met Carol. And we started, she said she liked I rode my motorcycle, by the way. That day, I rode my motorcycle to New York to Riverside Church, and I had my motorcycle boots on, and she said she was attracted to my motorcycle. I don't know if that's true or not, but so, but we exchanged numbers and we started dating. She had a daughter. Well, she has a daughter. Her daughter was 12 at the time. I did not want to bring or raise any more kids. So there was an issue there. She was living in Harlem. I'm living in Pennsylvania. So how do you connect?
Right.
Um, but we've been together now. This year is 20 years coming up in June. And
Congratulations. Woo.
I can't believe it. That's been that long. So, but we both live in Pennsylvania and still participate and are members of Riverside Church.
Oh, that's amazing. And you mentioned you would sing there. What's your voice part?
Oh, I'm an alto. No, wait, I was an alto. I'm a tenor now. And when I got older, my voice got deeper.
So
So
cool.
I sing tenor. I sing tenor. And
That's
we have a
amazing.
big Sunday is Martin Luther King Sunday. So we have a big concert coming up
Oh,
and
cool.
be in church singing on Sunday. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. Um, oh, I was gonna ask, uh, being religious, how has your
Well, I
faith?
don't say religious. It's more like a spiritual kind of thing.
Yeah.
When you say religious, they kind of you're looking at the doctrine, and sometimes
Mhm.
I don't always follow the specific doctrine. If you look behind me, I have an altar, so and that's the SGI altar for chanting. Okay,
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
have so I'm kind of open to different spiritual um feelings and entities and involvement. So even though I attend Riverside Church, I don't really call it a religion. It's more just spiritual connection. I'm on the council, the church council, and I'm open to different ways of worshiping
Yeah.
the higher being or the higher person or thing that created us all. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't care if you're a Muslim, or if you are happen to be follow the Jewish faith or what other faith you follow. I respect all of that because I think that we all are following we all want the same thing. We're calling it by different names
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
and worshiping differently, but it's all to the same higher level, the higher being.
hmm hmm How has your spirituality changed over time, especially with discovering more about your identity and yourself? I know this is something that I've navigated as someone who I'm from the South and grew up with like Southern Baptist church vibes. So it was tough for me coming out of the church and deconstructing everything and learning to accept myself and also figuring out, does religion mean to me? What does spirituality mean to me? Did you experience some shifts in your faith over time?
Oh, definitely. So okay, so I was raised Episcopalian,
Mm-hmm.
so but when I went to Wilberforce University is an African Methodist. It's an AME church. And
Mm-hmm.
Payne seminaries there, they trained the ministers. And of course, back then you couldn't be a female minister anyway.
Right.
Any
Right.
if I was interested in that, I couldn't even do that. But it was very strict. And I never even sang a gospel song, never even until I went to Wilberforce University. I'm 18, 19 years old. Um,
Wow.
so I rejected my initial upbringing as Episcopalian, and I didn't want to go to church at all because I felt as a gay person I wasn't worthy as a gay female. God doesn't love because everybody's preaching at me and telling me you're not worthy, you're not good, so why bother? Um,
Mhm.
but I had something deep inside of me, some kind of faith deep inside of me that was searching. And so I looked at the Baha'i religion. I would go to some of their churches. I read my son's father studied psychology and religion in the Muslim Quran. And so I started looking at that because of Malcolm X and the things that were going on in the country at that time. Um, I knew about the Buddhist connection. And so I just explored and experiment and I did a lot of reading.
Mhm.
Um, and I finally came back to the structured type church because I found that Riverside, that was only opening and affirming. So it helped me to deal with my spirituality and my gayness at the same time.
Mhm.
That was a hook. I raised my son in that church, and I feel that their social justice, Jesus justice in the community, and what they expect of their members speaks to me. And so that's why I continue to worship and sing in the choir and participate at Riverside Church as my spiritual grounding. But I also respect and had joined SGI Buddhist group. I have friends who are Buddhists, and so I also expect that too.
Hmm. Hmm. I love this. I love this wealth of spiritual beliefs and practices that you can engage with and to return to it after being told, I'm not worthy as a
Absolutely.
gay person, I'm not worthy as a lesbian. It's so hard to work through that messaging. Was it hard for you to work through it, and what helped you? Was it the affirming groups? Was it being a part of the Sirens, being a part of all of these amazing communities that told you like you are worthy, you are amazing, you
Yeah.
have something to offer?
Right. I think not only the groups I was involved with, I'm a poet and writer. I
Yes.
found a lot of writers and poets at that time. I mean, you talk about Audre Lorde and June Jordan, Alexis DeVoe, Pat Parker. I mean, they were very influential in
Hmm.
me getting my voice, to be able to not only identify, but able to hear my voice and see other women who were speaking the truth, and it was like so powerful for me. And of course, the sirens too, powerful women, all different religions, all different colors, but still being able to say to the world, look at me, look at us, we can do, we are strong, and we can still give back to the community. And so that was very important for me. So all those groups that not only my college, because when I left Wilberforce, I went to Lesley University, um, and graduated out of Harvard Hall up there in Boston. And then I went to another graduate school. I worked many years in education. So I had a lot of influences. And as time went on, the world changed, the laws changed, people's ideas and thoughts changed. And being part of that metamorphosis, I was able to grow into it. And I'm glad I was able to experience coming from the 1950s till now.
Hmm. Hmm.
1948, 1950s till now. Oh my gosh, what a change. But a major change in some things, and in other things we're going backward in. When we look at what's going on in the world today, it's just sad. And I've worked at Rutgers South African Initiative. I've been to South Africa 4 times, working with teachers and the Minister of Education in South Africa. I have friends who are South African who attended my wedding, came from South Africa to attend my wedding. And the world is changing, but then there are things that are going backwards because we have certain countries in parts of the world that will kill me if they knew I was gay. I would be dead
Right.
or in jail.
Yep.
So,
Hmm. 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 And yeah, the way that laws are shifting or being drawn up to ban books,
yep.
ban our identities, or ban even talking about gay, just saying the word gay or lesbian.
And now we have the trans issue.
Hmm.
You can't even be in the military anymore. I mean, this number 47, 48, whatever number he is, they have now banned transgender folks and in the military. And I think that if my platoon of all white boys knew that I was gay now, I would have total respect because my performance and my abilities matched theirs, or I was beyond that.
Right.
It's about what you bring, who you are, and if you could do the job. If you could do the job, I don't care. If you could protect, you got my back, I'm fine. You could dig a foxhole, I could dig a foxhole. I could run 3 miles with my pack of 75 pounds on my back, no problem. I got you. Okay? Because
Hmm.
I met guys who could not do that, what I
Right.
can as a black female officer in the military. All right? So, hey.
Hmm. 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 So more about your time in the military. When did you join the military? And
Okay. I was 1983.
Okay, 1983.
Never forget it. October 1983 is when I joined. I got out in 2001, right after the Twin Towers came down.
Mm.
And I went in because I had a master's degree already. I went in because as a single parent, I felt that in the future, I would need to get more financial support for my son and have another type of ability and training. Because I already had a master's degree. I was in education, had a degree in psychology. I was teaching. I was administrator. But I said, and I also had a CDL license, so I could drive the big rigs.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Wow.
I was doing a lot of stuff trying to support my son, and I was thinking about the future. And so I went into the military and I signed up for Signal Corps, and it meant that back in those days, Signal Corps was teletypewriters running military signal wires over the big tall wire poles or digging holes to send the wire so you can communicate in the field to the command posts. And
Mm.
so that's what I learned how to do. And I'm afraid of heights. So I would climb a
Oh my
pole
God.
200 something feet up in the air. I have a couple poems about that too. And but I learned how to deal with that fear. Again, having to outperform myself because in the Signal Corps, I think there was like five women,
Mm.
500 men. So you have to perform and you have to perform to a higher level than in order to stay and be respected. So when I got out and I got a position as a not got out as like when I finished basic and got a position as a platoon, I was the commo chief, communications chief, and I had men under me that I had to then deal with. I had to make sure that I stayed on top of not only my readiness, not only my mental capacity to understand, to give orders, and also to get the orders that I've been given to say, okay, this is the mission, this is how we're going to accomplish it, and to stay on top of all that, and then stay in the closet, and then deal with the men who are sneaking out of their tents while we're in the middle of training, trying to get into my tent because they want to get into my bed. So you got to rest on both sides.
Mm.
Rest on both sides. Um, but again, I was not out back in the 1980s in the military, in 1990s. I was not out. And so that was very hard for me. Again, when I put my uniform on, I was a different person. But when I was not on active duty and I had my uniform on, the women loved it. Oh, yeah. I put my uniform on. I was like, oh boy, come on. I was like, okay, I have to be really careful.
And your brain is like, whoa, whoa, wait a second.
And like,
I have
and something funny happened. Let me tell you something funny happened. So I have a friend of mine. Her name is Elizabeth Rivera. She was in a reserve group in Long Island. And at one point, we connected. And so I went to a club in New York. I'm gonna have my uniform on. I went to a club. So but I'm still in the military, but I was in the reserves at the time. So I went to the club, not with my uniform on, and she's in the club, and I see her. And I said, "Oh," I walk over, I said, "Hey, how you doing, Liz?" And she said, "Shh, don't tell anybody." I said, "We're in the gay club, me." Everybody. I didn't know she was gay, and she didn't know that I was gay. And I'm like, we're in a gay club and we don't tell anybody. So she said, well, I said, I'm not going to tell anybody. We could talk to one another. She said, shh, don't tell anybody. She's like this. Then another time, I think it was that same year or later that year, I'm in with the Sirens and I'm riding my motorcycle in the front because we lead the parade.
wow.
And who is on the side waving but Liz? And I slow down and she comes over to the motorcycle and she said, can I ride on the back? I said, sure. So she gets on the back and starts writing. And here come the cameras because we're in the front, and she's ducking behind me. Oh, I can't be seen. I said, but you're in front on a motorcycle in a gay parade. You're gonna find out that you're gay anyway. Because those are the things that we had to deal with. That she was hiding because she was, a soldier still. We're still active duty.
Hmm.
Anyway.
Yeah.
And today she's in her 80s and she's in New York, but she's very sick right now. She's very sick. I haven't seen her. But
I'm
those are
sorry to hear
those are some crazy days that we had. Oh my gosh.
that. So,
She's like,
w so you were still involved when you were active. Were you engaging in these more like public activities even while you were still in the military?
yeah, but yes, I did. I rode my motorcycle in the gay parade while still but of course I didn't have my uniform on.
Right.
And of course, participating in Maranatha in the church, but I felt
Yeah.
safe in those places.
Hmm. Hmm.
I don't know, I felt safe in a place, but if I went on base, I had to make sure there was no gay flags or nothing on my car. I had nothing on my bags, nothing like that. But now I don't have to worry about that. But yeah, back then I felt safe for some reason. This is back in the 1980s, 19, this will be in the early 1990s. Yeah. I felt safe
Hmm.
in those spaces in my church and in the gay parade on my motorcycle, I guess. I don't know. It was
Hmm.
okay.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. And you mentioned also in the beginning when you were in the military, navigating, having to think about all of the things to do when you're the person in charge, but then the extra layer of thinking about all the challenges you faced as a woman in the military. Um, could you talk more about those challenges that you faced, what you learned from them, how you grew from them?
Um, I think the main thing that I learned when I was on active duty is that I was always aware of my physical action. So I try not to walk too switchy because there were women in my company, of course. There were administrative assistants, some were nurses. There was nobody in the smoke platoon or in the commo section. I was the only female because I was a commo chief. But in the company, there were other women, and
Mhm.
they, switched and walked, and they would make up. I had to make sure that I would walk the line. If I switch too much, the men are going to whistle, and they want to get in your pants. And if
Mhm.
I was too tough, then they started calling you names. Oh, you're a butch. What is going on with you? So I had to kind of, this is this fine line that I had to play between. I was playing. And an example, when we went out for training and we're pinching tents and stuff, and they have the women's section and they're doing their thing. And the women, like, they can't get the tent up, and they can't do this, and they need help. And I be standing in my platoon, and I had one of the other women who were higher ranked than me came over to my platoon and says, "Attention!" And nobody pays attention to her. Not one person, not one male paid attention because of the way she approached attention. But if you
Mhm.
use your voice, if you use your voice, everybody paid attention to me when I said attention. They got their feet to attention. So
Mhm.
it was about a fine line of getting that respect. This is after you finish basic training and stuff. This is after all of that. One of the things I noticed doing basic training, though, I was in fake Fort Jackson back in the 80s. There were a company of women and there were men DI drill instructors only. I didn't see any female drill instructors. I'm sure they had them, but my company, we had no female drill instructors. It was all men taking care of all of these women, and it was a trip. White boys. It was a trip. That was
Mhm.
tough. that was I was scared. I was like, I'm not going to make this. I was 34 years old. I was the oldest person in the company. And then after 3 weeks, the 19, 18, and 20-year-olds dropped out. You lose 1/4 of the company because they couldn't deal with the mental stuff that was going on. Because the drill instructors are hollering at you and getting run, run, do this, do that. And they would just start crying. They can't do it. And I was like, that didn't phase me because I was older and more mature. So that stuff didn't phase me. So I was able to make it through basic training. Actually, I had more rank than anybody else because I had a master's degree. So,
Mm.
but yeah, but the military, I walked a fine line. I walked a fine line, and then I got injured. Forgot what year I got injured, but it took me 3 years to get out to get service connected disability.
Mm.
I tore both my Achilles heels, tendons. The right one
Oh,
is
wow.
worse than the left. And for a long time, I couldn't walk. Use, I couldn't put in my boots. They put in orthotics. They sent me to the hospital. I could not get out. I would try, and they said, no, do this, try this, do this. And then finally, it took 3 years before I got my disability and I was able to get out in the military in 2001. Then I got a letter asking me to come back because the Twin Towers went down and they wanted soldiers to come back to train to get ready to go abroad. My unit got called up for Desert Storm, Desert Shield.
Mm.
So I have an accommodation from Westchester, but I didn't go abroad. I went to Pasadena, California to train soldiers. So that's what I
Mm.
yeah.
Got it. You trained soldiers for how long?
I did it for 6 months. That was six months, and then I came back and but I was still trying to get out on disability because I could barely walk. So they had me in sneakers. So it's tough. It's tough when you get out. You have to fight for your right in the military. You got to fight for it. You got to have
Hmm.
paper. You got to back it up. You got to do this and that. But I'm good now. So I got my Social Security. I get disability from the military, and have a little pension. So yeah,
Hmm. Hmm.
okay. Yeah.
Did you eventually get surgery for your feet or
No, no, I didn't get up. I didn't have surgery. I had a knee replacement.
okay,
I didn't have surgery on my ankle, on my tendons.
got it.
Surgery, yeah, surgery on the Achilles heel tendon. It shortens your height somewhat. I'm 5'7". I don't want to get any shorter, and so I
Hmm.
have swelling and pain. I'm taking medication, but I can walk. I just can't hold up a 800, 900 pound two-wheel bicycle. But I got my trike. I'm
Hmm.
good. I'm still riding.
Yeah. 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 Um, what was that like, having to fight for that disability to, fight to have your voice heard? I mean, I'm hearing it's very interesting to me to hear the like fine line of like you're learning how to confidently speak, how to demand respect just by the way you speak or even hold yourself or your physicality. But then what is it like when you have been giving your all to the military and then your body starts wearing down and then you're like, hey, this, I need this accommodation and you're not being listened to. What was that like?
Um, so this happens across the board.
Yeah.
A lot of veterans who are still fighting for compensation for whatever injuries they've had. I mean, look at the happened in Vietnam with
Yeah.
orange stuff that goes on. I mean, that Vietnam veterans, and they're much older than me, still fighting for
Hmm.
compensation and to be recognized and to get what they deserve. So it's a hard battle. You can um, get some of what you need, but you have to know who to go to. You have to know how to write it up. You got to have the right words. You got to have the right doctors backing. So it was a fight, but I I did not give up, and I think that I felt a little bit disappointed when they sent me to the hospital. Say, okay, well, we're going to give you orthotics. We're going to give you you can put on sneakers. We're going to give you this and that. Um, So it made it worse. So my disability, is was worse because of the time it took for me to finally get the compensation.
Mm.
That's what I'm concerned about, and maybe I'm a little angry at that. But
Yeah.
that's it just made everything worse.
Mm, mm, mm. Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, it's something, so common with veterans too.
Yeah, very. I hear
Hmm.
a lot of stories about it. You can see it online where a lot of stories and veterans are fighting for their rights to get compensated. And I'm like I said, I know Vietnam vets are still fighting for that stuff, you know. Yeah.
Hmm.
And then you have the other thing that happens when Desert Storm, Desert Shield came in and you had the war in Iraq. Soldiers are coming back and they have these invisible wounds.
Right.
So they have the PTS, they have the trauma. And I'm trained trauma facilitator for Warrior Writers. Warrior Writers is a writing group for military veterans to
Oh,
help
wow.
with that, and the arts and writing, music helps with dealing with your stress level and your bombardment of stuff that's going on in your head and your emotions. And so there's all kinds of programs now for vets, but that didn't happen years ago. It's getting better. It's getting better. And it's being recognized as a tool to use the arts. Okay, so and this is not just for military veterans, anybody who suffered any kind of trauma.
Yeah. Yeah. So how has writing helped you through your life, through your trauma, through your joys?
So I am a living survivor of sexual abuse by my father
Mm.
from the time I was 13 to 16. So there were times in my life when I did not speak, when I was very depressed, when I tried to commit suicide a couple of times, when I was hospitalized. So writing, I
Mhm.
started writing when I was 13 to communicate, but writing as a writer, now I'm a published writer. I have two books. I have lots of things that are published, has helped me not only to help myself to get my voice and my story out, but I've been able now to help others. So, like I said, I'm a trained facilitator for Warrior Writers. I'm also work with Crossing Point Arts. I'm a trained facilitator, but although I haven't worked with them in a long time, for sex trafficking victims in New York City.
Mhm.
Arts helps with that trauma. And so I can understand and connect to women and to girls who've had trauma sexually. And so writing has helped me to be able to get my voice and my story out. And I'm able to now to help other people with that. And I don't just write about that trauma. I write about riding a motorcycle. I write about having kids. I write about traveling. So yes, but the writing initially helped me to get my story and my feelings out.
Hmm. Hmm. I really resonate with that as a fellow survivor and someone who loves writing. Um, are there any poems you like to read out loud or you like to share specifically?
Well, I could read a poem if you want to hear a poem about motorcycle riding or something.
Yeah,
Right,
let's
yes.
do it. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So here are my two books. This is the first one,
Inner
and
Journey,
this,
love.
yeah, Inner Journey. This is my first book, chapbook, and then this one is the second one that came out in 20, I think it was 2020. This is called Letters to My Father. And
Awesome.
so um I'm trying to think if I can read something about motorcycle riding, maybe. And then I have a lot of poems that have been published separately that
Hmm.
have been in that have been in magazines and journals.
Yeah,
So,
I saw you've been published in Sinister Wisdom, so
oh
I'm sure
yeah.
we have your work at the archives already. I hope we have your books at the archives too. I need to look and see, but yeah.
So I have So this one is called Backseat. On my motorcycle, I have control. Tucked behind my helmet, he fits perfectly in the back seat. He peered over my shoulder. I entered the highway and heard his confession. Twist the throttle, I touched 90. I felt a smile at my back, a shared need for speed. Regardless of the risk, he followed the course down the looping road. No fear of intrusion. My truth journey unbridled, free to map the direction. Soaring on two wheels, flanked by God, my feet planted in grace, balancing mercy and hate. I ride the winds of anticipation, released from his power. My Father rediscovered on the arduous journey to forgiveness.
Wow.
So I was reading for my dad, and when I went to Florida, they used to live in Florida. I took him on a motorcycle ride on Route 95 from Palm Coast to Daytona.
Hmm.
And that was the experience I had because I have control now on the motorcycle um, riding. And
Hmm.
yeah, so I have a lot of poems about, not a lot about motorcycles, but I have things about other than motorcycle riding. I was going to try and find something that's similar. But one of my friends in this particular book, in a journey, has pictures.
Beautiful.
She has yeah, she has different let's see, I found out her name is Indira Bailey. She's a famous artist.
Hmm.
And so she did some yeah, so she did a couple of sketches for me in my first book. And she's really great.
Hmm.
Uh and let me see. So I can pull up, I'm trying to think something else that's more relevant, more recent that I wrote. Um, and it's can you still see me? Oh, I'm
Oh yeah,
sorry.
yeah, I can see you. Yeah, you're good.
I was trying to pull up something that I have that's more recent. And I have a new book that I just finished looking for a publisher. So I've been sending it out to different places, trying
Exciting.
trying to find a publisher. It takes a little while to do that.
Hmm.
So it's called let me just see if I can find it here. Let's see if I can find it. I'm not sure if I can. I have to see if I'm going through my computer. Is that all right for me
Yeah,
to?
you're fine. Take your time.
I just want to make sure
Hmm.
that I can pull up this particular poem and read to you. It is about my experience, another experience on a motorcycle. So I thought that would be something
Yeah.
that you would like to hear that's different from the first one. It's about when I first started riding, how I learned to ride on a motorcycle. So let's see. All right. Oh, let me see if I can find it now.
You're good. You're good.
Okay. So yeah. And you saw the pictures I sent, right?
Yes, I did. I loved them of you like at different ages standing by the
Yeah, but
motorcycle and yeah.
those are some of the first motorcycles that I had.
Hmm.
The last one, of course, is the one that I have now. I still have that motorcycle. She's
How
in
much did you pay for your first motorcycle? Do you remember? I
the
know that's like decades ago, so
but,
but
no, but
I'm
wait a minute.
curious.
I'm trying to remember. It was under $10,000.
Okay.
I remember that. I
Hmm.
paid for it cash. I did not have a loan on that motorcycle. Now
Did you save up for it? Would you?
yeah, I saved up for it. And I bought the motorcycle before I finished the class. So before I finished the class, I had that motorcycle and it was in the store. I saw it in the window and I went into the motorcycle shop and I bought that motorcycle and I didn't even have my whatchamacallit. I didn't have my
Your
license.
license?
I
Yeah.
didn't have my license yet. No, no, no. Okay, so I'm on the right page now, and I'm going,
Yay.
yeah, I'm going to get the, and there's a couple of poems that I have. One was written for my mom. It won first prize in one of the books. Wait, I'll show it to you. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
I have another book. So this book, can you see?
Yes.
All right. So this book,
Can you read the title for me? I didn't get to see the title, but
okay. So anyway, I want to sort of show you um so first place says first place.
first place, something lost.
Yeah,
And the title, oh,
oh,
it's called
matter,
Matter. Okay, okay.
matter. Yeah. It's
Got
printed it's printed by uh Oprell Publications.
it.
And I
Cool.
won first prize in Something Lost. This was came out in 20, when did this come out? 2023.
Okay.
Not in 2023.
Nice.
Yeah, I won first prize for this. So I'll read,
Congrats.
while I'm looking for the motorcycle poem, I'll read this one. How's
Yeah.
that? Something Lost. And this is dedicated to my mother. Um, all right. And I wrote this when I was in Greece, by the way. I went to Greece a few times for a writing conference, workshop,
Cool.
and this is written in Greece.
Nice.
Something. You left me chinks of evaporated memories, some caught on threads of pain and loss. Your fingers rested on black and white keys, hovering to remember. I tried to hold your waning smile, the fleeting recognition. Mummy, it's me. On this rocky Greek island with its blue green turquoise sea and sky, so much blue, so bluey, I search the depths, find you in me, the shape of my toes, the curve in my thigh, the increasing wrinkles around my mouth. Your children's shoulder DNA. I sense your smile and rustle, inventive sewing with Cecile. Mark has your creative cooking style. Your grandson has you weaving in and out. Because the umbilical cord knotted in my throat, you became deaf to my siren song. Mummy, it's me. The mind is a terrible thing to waste, but losing your mind is brutal. It wasn't what she planned. It crept up on her like the sea, slowly eating away the shore until one day you notice that there's a fucking flood. She got flooded out, washed away. Parts of her shredded into pieces. Her mother found fragments. Doctors and meds recovered others. Like a quilt made of rags and cast off fragments, she was recreated, severed the umbilical cord, free, free to be in the bluey. Today, still searching like an urgent itch to hear the ivory keys under your hands. Play for me the music that we lost, the misplaced notes of my impatient heart. I hold tight to recipes, poems, prayers etched in your cookbook. Mummy, mummy, it's me.
Hmm.
When my
Beautiful.
when my dad was doing what he was doing with me, my mom said she didn't know. And I felt like when I finally told her when I was 16, I had a breakdown that she was hiding something, that she was scared, that she didn't protect me. And so it was hard for me to have a relationship with my mother. And that took 20 or 30 years of therapy and healing for me to finally get through that. So that poem was written for her, and I submitted it to a contest, and I was surprised that it won something. So I was totally shocked. But I got
Hmm.
first prize for that in 2023. And it's I have a new book that I'm like I said I put together, and it's dedicated to my mom, and it has poems, prayers, and recipes from her cookbook. So
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
We found her cookbook, and in her cookbook, she had poems, prayers, and pictures of things
Mhm.
that she wanted, things she wrote. And I didn't even know that she liked poetry. So
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So it was something. All right, so let me just get to this poem here, get to the
Yeah,
right
take
page.
your time. Take your time. I love the blue. I've never been to Greece, but I just imagine all the blue in Greece is so beautiful and transporting. And like you were saying, it was bringing up all of these emotions and memories and connections with your mother. So
Right.
really beautiful poem.
Okay, so now the poem about my first experience with a motorcycle is called "I Don't Do the Ordinary."
Okay.
Okay. It sat on Main Street in Mamaroneck, pearl white, smooth, shiny. Each day I lingered longer. Questions: should I? Could I? It would be a big leap, a gush of excitement to ride on two wheels. I don't do the ordinary. Lessons in New York course only available from certified driving schools. I signed up in May. 2 weeks, one in the classroom and the other on the road. I'm the only woman in the group of 25 men, the only person of color. At 41 years, I am the oldest. I question my decision, but I've already paid. I don't do the ordinary. I'm good in the classroom, passed my written tests, permit in hand. I'm ready for the road test on a motorcycle. Your right hand, right front brake, lever, squeeze. Your right hand, grip the throttle, twist. Your right foot, rear brake, press down. Your left hand, lever, clutch, squeeze. Your left hand, grip, hold on. Your left foot, toes, the gears. One up, first gear. One down, neutral. Second gear, up, and so on. Coordination, timing, balance. The parking lot is set with orange cones, straight rows, circles, figure eights, round and round, in and out, left turns, stop and starts. My hands are shaking. Beads of sweat trickle down my helmet. Two instructors guide each biker through the maze of orange cones. I twist the throttle, slowly move forward, turn, right, left turn, stop, U turn, S turn, figure eight, stop, back again, round and round, right, around, left turn, circle, round and round, stop. Wow. No falls, no crashes. I passed. I've earned my motorcycle license.
Woo!
So that's exactly what I felt like when I was first learning how to ride in Westchester and Mamaroneck at a driving school. Of course, in
Mhm.
Pennsylvania is free. You can go to school free, you don't have to pay for anything. But
Oh wow.
in New York, you had to pay.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I have quite a few poems like that of a section in the book of motorcycle riding. I also have a section in the book about some of my experiences as a gay woman in different clubs, different places I would go. Um, and then I have a section on my experience in the military. And then I have a couple of poems um, about just loving women. So this is
Hmm.
all in one book, and it's a full book. So these two books are chapbooks
Yeah.
because it's under 48 pages, but the other book
Mhm.
is a full book of poems. It's a yeah, has like I think 80 something pages.
Wow. Oh, well, good luck on finding a great publisher who will publish
I
the amazing poems. I loved hearing them out loud.
thank you.
And hearing about your experience on motorcycles. What motorcycle skills have transferred with you into your real life?
Oh, that's interesting. It's the other way around.
Hmm.
So in my real life, I've been driving since I was 17. I have a CDL license before I started riding a motorcycle.
Yeah.
So I knew about not only the basics of driving and riding and being aware of your surroundings and making sure that I stay safe, not only in my truck, in my cars, but the motorcycle, I was able to transfer all that to the motorcycle riding rather the other way around.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So
Mhm.
defensive driving techniques I learned in on my CDL license when I getting to ride in the big rigs. So I
Yep.
was able to transfer that to my motorcycle riding. So I'm very, very safe and very aware.
Hmm. Hmm. And with your writing and thinking about, your younger self and what you went through, if you could go back in time and talk to your younger self, what would you tell her?
I would tell her to speak up earlier, not to wait. I was 13 when it started. I stopped talking and I didn't speak again until I was 16. So I would say to my younger self, say something now when it started and not keep that secret because my father said to keep it a secret and I shouldn't have kept the secret. And that's what I would say to my younger self. Say something, do something, tell somebody and not keep it a secret. Because when my father said keep it a secret, I shut down. I
Mhm.
didn't talk to anybody. I didn't say anything. And that's when I started writing in the closet, writing my feelings down. That's when I started writing. And I should have been able to say it. And I couldn't talk. I couldn't say it.
Mhm. Have you, in working through this trauma and going back, have you been able to forgive it or forgive your younger self for not being able to speak about it? Or is it something that you work
Oh,
through?
oh, let me just say, if I had not forgiven myself, I would not be the person I am to now. And not only did I forgive myself before my father died, before my parents passed away, I forgave my father because
Wow.
I couldn't have written these books. I
Right.
forgave my dad before he passed away, before my mother died, she got Alzheimer's, way before then. I'd sit down and talk with him, and I said, and my father wrote me, I have two letters asking
Mhm.
for his forgiveness. He wrote me letters. And so
Wow.
that's why this book is called Letters to My Father.
Mm.
This is the back. He wrote me letters.
Mm.
Yeah. So he wrote me letters asking for my forgiveness. And he said, showing me the facts of life. That's what they called it back then. He showed me the facts of life. But that's not what it was, more than that. But that's the wording he used, facts of life. But yeah. So yes, because I think that if I wasn't able to forgive my dad when he was alive, I wouldn't be the person I am now. Because I couldn't face myself, and I went through lots of trauma. I went through all kinds of every therapy you name. I've done it. I've been hospitalized twice and had suicidal thoughts, and I'm still on antidepressants because I just need to take it because I'm that part of my body and my brain is
Mhm.
damaged.
Yeah.
I'm able to handle it and deal with it as long as I stay active, physically active. Um, stay on my medication and I eat right. I'm good. But
Mhm.
yeah, I would not be the person I am now if I didn't forgive myself and my dad.
Mhm.
It took a
Mhm.
lot. Took
Oh
a
yeah.
lot.
Mhm. It took a lot of time, I'm sure.
Yes, time and disappointment and beating myself up and oh my gosh, and beating the world up.
Yeah.
You know, I did all kinds of crazy things. I mean, I did a lot of crazy things. I even dropped out of college at one point and went to California, dropped out of college for a year, went to California and hung out I thought I was going to be a black hippie, hung out with the Black Panthers and stole food and fed the kids and did all kind of crazy things and, then went back to school. So yeah, I was very radical, very wild. But did all kinds of drugs and hung out with at Antioch and the Kent State shooting and all kinds of things. But all of that helped me to grow
Right.
and to be who I am now. And I'm nothing like that. I'm like a different person. When I look back and I said, wow, you did all that. I was like a different person. So I'm gonna look back at the picture and said, yeah, that is you. You were there. And I was when I was being interviewed last week at Riverside Church, and they said, well, you were there when King spoke. I said, yeah, I was here. I was sitting right over there. I was like, wow, that really did happen. you know,
hmm hmm What year did you live in California? Do you remember?
1969, 1970,
Oh,
70,
wow.
1970.
hmm
1970. I dropped out of school. I came back from England in 1969, and I was there for 2 semesters working. And then when I came back, Joan was had graduated and was planning to get married to a doctor at BU University he was studying. I was like, I went crazy and like, oh no, you're getting married? I want to be a man so I can marry you. I dropped out of college, went to California, hitchhike, and I was like, okay, I'm
You
gonna
hitchhiked to California? Is that how you got out there?
that's how I got out there, and I'm gonna
Oh,
pay $300 in my pocket, and I'm gonna be a hippie. I'm gonna live in California and then live on the streets, and I did all kind of crazy things. I did a lot of drugs, and met all kind of weird people. Did all kind of weird people. I used to go to UCLA, and I would go into the library and steal the books out of the library, take off the library backing and sell the books back to the students and then take that money and then go to A&P and buy meat for the Black Panthers to feed.
oh, wow. I love the element of stealing from the library. That's like that's an extra level of like,
I used to
yeah,
go to the library. I
yeah,
mean, back in those days, they don't have cameras and they didn't have anything in the A&P. And you just that's how we live. We live on the street. That's how I
yeah,
live. So I did
yeah.
that for a while, and I came to my senses, and I got really sick. I told my mother. She told me I could come home, but I had to work 1 semester so I can get back to school. So I came home and worked for another semester in New York, and then I went back to Wilberforce, and I finally graduated. Then I went to graduate school, and became a normal human being.
What was that breaking point? Like, you got sick? What did you get sick with?
I had a vaginal infection, and I didn't know what it was, and I got really
Mm,
sick. I had a fever. I was really sick, and I called home, and I told my mom I was sick. She sent me a ticket because I couldn't afford to come home, and she said, "Well, you
mm.
come home, you have to obey the rules, you have to get a job, you have to work, you have to get money to go to school." And so I worked that 1 semester, made enough money, and went back to Wilberforce. So I only needed another 2 semesters, and then I graduated. So.
Got it. Oh, wow. Wow. Did you get treated for the sickness? Did you
Yeah.
figure out what it was?
Yeah, they gave me medication, whatever. I went to the GYN and they examined me and gave me medication. Yeah, yeah.
Good, good. Um, wow, that's wild. Like I wanted to be a hippie for a bit, and you're with
A
the
black,
Panthers.
Never heard of that. You're a black hippie, give me a break. Who ever heard of that? But that's what I was doing. That's what I was involved with. So,
hmm hmm What did being a part of the Panthers teach you?
oh, it taught me to stand up for myself, don't take no shit from white folks, and that we can provide for our own community. We
Mm,
have all the wherewithal, all the knowledge to do what we need to do for our children, to raise our children, to teach our kids, to eat right. Yes, that's what the Black Panthers taught me. Oh my gosh. They were
mhm.
scary, but they were real. They came to our
Yeah.
camp and I was all into it. I
hmm
had a big afro and I was all into it. Yes.
hmm hmm
It taught me that we had the skills and the wherewithal to take care of ourselves and our community. And we just need to gather that skills and form an alliance and support one another. And
hmm
that's what the Black Panthers did. The people thought Black Panthers, oh, they were so radical and they had machine guns. They were not that way. They took care of the community. They fed
Yeah.
the community. They fed
Yes.
kids and they taught the children in the schools, for goodness
Yeah.
sakes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They did a lot of volunteer work,
Yes.
and
Yes.
it's yeah, it's sad how their history has been tainted by so many people. I was gonna ask something about, oh, you mentioned like the writers that you looked up to and loved reading throughout the time of like the 70s, Audre Lorde, talking about different authors. What were the voices you loved hearing during this time? Like, was
Well,
it?
let me just say to you, I was with Audre Lorde when she was reading or participating in some of these readings in New York City because she lived right there in Staten Island. I was there and heard June Jordan, Pat Parker, Alexis David. I was there. I was participating.
Yes.
So I was in that involved. Uh, Cheryl Clark. I mean, yeah. So I was all in that stuff, and so I
Hmm.
was there. And then when they had uh oh my gosh, what is it? The first AIDS Day. I think it was back. I forgot when the year it was. The Black Voices, the Black Men. Um, in Harlem. Oh, there's a group. I'm not remembering their names now. Uh, but anyway, so I was involved in a lot of the readings and a lot of the voices of the Black voices that were coming out of New York and at that time. So
Hmm.
that was very influential for me as a writer because those are the women I looked up to. Those are women that I heard. Those are women I participated in readings with. So I wanted to be that. I wanted to
Hmm.
be able to write and express myself. So I was practicing and learning and being taught. So now when I do some readings, and let me tell you, I did a reading, this is last year, somewhere in New Jersey. And afterwards there's a talk back and answer, and one of the guys said, "Oh, you sound like that young girl, um, Amanda."
Oh, the poet laureate?
Yeah, the poet laureate. And I'm like, no, she sounds
She
like,
sounds like us.
no. Now I'm reading. He told me I sound like her. I'm older than this good. This kid could my child. Said she sounds like Audre Lorde. She sounds like Alice Walker. She sounds like so
Right.
got that stuff from. I didn't get it. It's the other way around. Now, this is a white
Yeah.
man. This is a white man, and I'm like, what are you talking about?
Of course it is.
What are you talking about? I sound like her?
No,
No,
it's
she
like,
sounds like us, like me.
yeah, you're like, we paved the way for Amanda Gorman. Like,
And
you're
we
like,
paved the way.
yeah,
Paved the way for her, you
yeah.
know. So anyway, but
Yeah.
yeah. So what happens is that um some poets, and this quote some poets, don't know their poetic history, okay? Especially Black poetic history. So I don't belong to it. There's a group called the Round Table, Reading the Round Table in New Jersey, and I go and attend sometimes.
Hmm.
It's on Tuesday evening, once a month. And most of the times that I'm there, I'm the only person of color in the audience.
Mm.
So I read my things that are coming from my feeling, my experience. And a lot of times the reaction I get is like, oh, yeah. Ooh. I'm like, these white people need to hear this. Sorry, you need to hear this. And
Yeah.
I go to read to so they can hear another perspective, another voice, rather than the same old voices, because most of those folks that said the audience is white, the presenters are white, and so I have to go and show my black face. I have a friend of mine who's white, and she attends, and we're good friends because she's a writer too. And she was going last week, and I said, I can't make it. I said, "You gonna miss my black face?" She said, "Yeah, I'm gonna miss your black face." Joke around like that, but she's a good friend of mine. Her name is Norma, and she's a great writer. She's a poet and writer, and she's a
Hmm.
great writer. But we joke around a lot like that. But I feel free. I feel free enough to talk to her like that, even though she's a white woman. But we connect. We
Yeah.
connect on a deeper level. The
Hmm.
same. It's the same thing with the sirens. I have friends, and they're not all black friends. They're different colors. Linda's not black, Linda's white, but I connect with her. So
Hmm.
it's okay. It's okay. So,
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Uh, well, we are reaching our time. I'm wondering if there's anything that we spoke on that you want to speak more about, or anything you feel like um, you that we missed on talking about.
well, one of the things I'm
Mhm.
concerned about the future of the sirens.
Mm. Okay.
Making sure that they get enough young people, enough young women in the club because I'm older. I think I might be the oldest person in the club. I think I might be the oldest siren. I'm not sure. You can check that. But
Mhm.
as they get younger women who are involved in riding motorcycles to support the sirens as they move forward into the future, and what's the vision of the sirens as they move forward? Um, there are quite a few other female clubs out there, and so I'm concerned about that and that they can live up to their history, but we have to make history now. So we're making history. And how do we do that in a collective way and in a supportive way with one another, and still support the older writers like me who's not able to get to the meetings from Pennsylvania um, on a Tuesday evening into lower Manhattan, which is a pain in the butt. Every time you pay all the tolls and go through the tunnel and crap, I don't really want to do that. But
Yeah.
but, but still, that's one of my concerns. Um, as they move forward into the world. I mean, it's great that we have in the archives and keeping that going. Um, but looking at the younger women and making sure that they understand the history of the sirens and how to support the growth and the continued growth of that group.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. What excites you about the future of the Sirens?
I don't know. I mean, I don't have a like I haven't got a real handle on that. I just hope that they're able to maintain that there are a cohesive, integrated group and not just have women who are gay, that there have all women are um, welcomed in their community on wheels. I know that they're doing good things in the community, that they continue riding, riding, on their bikes, and that they continue to support one another. And I hope that that's something they can look forward to. As the older women, like me, getting older, I'm still riding. I don't know. Like I said, I think I'm the oldest member now.
Hmm.
I'm not sure, but so that they can support people like me who are
Hmm.
older who still want to ride.
Yeah. And what does that support look like for you? Like
Um,
to a
First of
day-to-day?
all,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so I'm not really sure how I could connect that to the sirens. I know that in general, I don't see too many women my age who are still riding, and maybe we need our own club. I don't know, old ladies club. I don't know, but they have
Mhm.
the Merry Maids or something like that, but they're in Florida, and they ride scooters, and I'm not into scooters. I'm sorry. I need some,
That's
I need
different. Yeah.
some speed. That's not me. That's not me. But yeah, I think that I don't ride as often, but I do ride. I still do long distance riding. Um,
Hmm.
but I would like to see more women of my age still riding and to support that. And I don't know if the Sirens is able to do that. I don't know. So in
Hmm.
terms of the future, I don't have a specific idea or specific direction that I
Hmm.
want to go in. I just think that um, I'm riding by myself most of the time. Out here, I'm riding by myself. Um, I'm planning to go on some of the motorcycle events that are coming up in the summer. Um, but we need more women of my age supporting one another, and maybe I need to look in how I can do that to reach out to other women who are older who still want to ride. So I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder, I mean, I know there are different like elder lesbian groups out there, and I know you're talking more just about like older people in general riding, lesbian or not.
Yes,
But
right.
maybe I wonder if like old lesbians organizing for change, if there are people in that group who ride motorcycles, or I don't know. Yeah, maybe there could be some crossover with like elder groups and finding
Yeah.
community there. Who
Yeah,
knows?
that's one thing I would like to see, and I don't have that. So none of my friends ride motorcycles, none of my family members who are my age
Mm,
who are doing that. So that's
yeah.
the thing that I kind of miss a little bit. Because
Hmm.
friend Linda stopped riding, she's not riding anymore. My friend PJ, he gave his bike away. Actually, he moved to Cabo. He's down in Mexico somewhere.
Oh
Um,
wow. Hmm.
yeah, so I don't have that community, so I'm by myself. I mean,
Hmm.
it's not stopping me from riding, but it would be nicer to have that thing. That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Well, this has been amazing to chat with you, a writer and writer, the
Yeah, thank you.
poet.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, last question I have for you is
Okay.
what, or who gave you your road name, Poet? And
Oh, no,
what's,
I did.
you
I think
did, you're,
we choose our names.
oh, okay, got it, got
Yeah,
it, love
we
it.
choose our writer name.
Hmm.
And since I'm a poet, I just said poet's easy. It's real simple. And so I have it on my colors and everything on my vest. But yeah, I we choose our names.
Okay, awesome. Love it. Love it. All right. Well, this has been so lovely getting to chat with you. Thank you so much for your time. I'm gonna stop the recording now unless there's anything you'd like to say that's being recorded or
No, I
any
just
last
want to
thoughts.
thank you for your time, Carol. That was really great. And what you're trying to do, or what you're doing in terms of preserving and having the archives is really, really important for people to know, not just women, but people in general to know. And I appreciate the time and the questions. They were
Yeah,
great.
of
Thank you.
course. All right, I'm gonna stop the recording now.